Hello YouTubes, I am back. This is Grimweird, and as always, my lovely avatar, Zombie Steve. And last episode, we sort of finished off our foray into Applied Energistics storage, and we set up sort of an immediate kind of just test case, and things worked, and I was very happy, but I could immediately tell that I would want to fiddle with it. So this is sort of going to be my initial design while I get to feel for it. This will by no means be a final design. So one of the things I mentioned last time was I saw I could slap the power cell right up against the ME controller, and I thought to myself, hey, I don't have to use up unnecessary cabling. But then as I was rereading the Applied Energistics 2 stuff, I remembered that the controller, the ME controller, basically can take 32 channels, basically 32 things attached to it through every of the 6 side of the cube. So slapping the power cell right up against there basically precludes us from using 32 channels going into there. And so that was why I went ahead and a Applied Energistics Fluix cable will not attach directly to the power cell. So I did make another energy acceptor. So now that I can have a cable to the energy acceptor to the power, and only actually it uses up 0 of 8 channels, but it's not clogging up any of the channels going into the ME controller. I also realized I didn't need individual cables to all of the different ME drives. So you can see here I've got ME Smart cable, I've got dense ME Smart cable here, 14 of 32 channels. I've got normal non-dense ME Smart cable here, 8 of 8 channels for these 8 drives. I went ahead and made some more storage to finish out this bank of drives. So we now have 40 4Ks, and I've got plenty of room to expand as necessary into this bank. I also went ahead and set up, you can see here, you can see the 2 blue lines. We've got 2 of 8 channels used to 2 import buses going to, this is going to be attached to my digital miner, and then this is going to be the new home. Let's go ahead and do that now before I forget. This is going to be the new linked inventory for my hammer and my pickaxe, and heck, my laser gun. And while I'm at it, I'm going to grab my other tools and send everything there. So my sword, I'm not using my sword much anymore now that I have the laser gun, but hey, whatever. So everything's going to be linked to here so that when I use it, the things that I dig up or cut down or mine are all going to go into this and then be imported straight into the ME system. So we're all set to go there. So yeah, we got that ready to roll, and went ahead and broke out the purple crystal shulker box. I haven't been using it. It's sort of too nice of a box to be just using for this, but what the heck. And that'll be for the digital miner, as I said. Oh, another thing I did was I went ahead and put 4 acceleration cards in each of the import buses. I do not have any filters. As it stands, you can filter this, like if I were to put an iron bar in there, it would only import iron. And if I put 1 capacity card here, it would open up these 4 around it, and then I could tell it 5 things, the one in the middle and the 4 on each edge, 5 things that I wanted it to import. And if I put a second capacity card, it would open up the corners, and I could tell it 9 things that I want. I could also put in a fuzzy card. Let's say I just put in a fuzzy card, and I put some sort of, let's say an immersive engineering tin ingot there, but I also put in the fuzzy card. Well, it would also take the thermal foundation tin ingot or the immersive engineering tin ingot. You know, it would take all the tin ingots with that fuzzy card in place. So I don't really need all that. I basically want to shove everything in there. I'm the kind of person that's like, hey, bring it. But that is the kind of thing you would use if you had, say, like let's say out at my mob slaughter farm where I'm making pink slime and liquid meat out of baby cows. So sad, but you might want to import some of that into your ME system, and you might want to send some of it somewhere else. So that allows you to just import the things you want from a machine. So if I had this import bus on some sort of machine, I might just want to pull one type of product out of there, and I might want to send the other product to a trash can, or something someplace else, to the next machine down the line, what have you. Anyway, so we should be. Let's go ahead and test this. I haven't tested this yet, but as a test, let's go ahead and pull out. Let's pull out a bunch of cobble. And what I'm trying to see here is that if I put stuff in here, how fast it goes into our storage system. I'm just going to line these all up so I can put them in super fast. Alright, so zoop, zoop. And it's taking like lots. It takes it a moment to recognize it's there. It takes a tick or two to recognize it's there, but then it pulls them in. It almost looked like a stack at a time. I think if you have nothing in here, it pulls in one thing per tick, and if you have one in here, it pulls 8 in per tick, and then maybe 16, and then maybe 32, and then maybe a stack at a time, or something like that. But it is pulling stuff in fast, so I am happy with that. So if we come down here, I dropped a cable down. I played a bit with facades too, just to see how they work and look. So I put an obsidian cable facade at the bottom of this little cluster here, just to sort of tie it off and make it look nice. I've got my ME crafting table, which is most of what I'm going to use. So now if I want to do something, I haven't tried this yet, but let's say I want to, say, make cobblestone stair. I can do that, and it'll pull the cobblestone straight out of that, or I can send it straight back. Cool, cool, cool. So that's all working as intended. Another thing I did was I went ahead and, let's grab a little bit more cobblestone. I just wanted to try how these worked, so I made a couple since I had enough for both of them. So an ME conversion monitor. So an ME monitor lets you right-click something on your hand on it, and it'll show you how much is in storage. The conversion monitor actually also then allows you to, once it's there, you can right-click again to pull some, or to put some in, and you can left-click to pull some out. So I can pull out a few stacks if I want. I can put stuff back in if I want. So I thought that just might be sort of a handy, quick thing to do, like if I'm standing over here, putting some iron dust into my smelter, and I decide I need a bit more. I can just, with some iron dust in my hand, I can just go, hey, I need a bit more, and I can click once to pull it up, and then click again to pull some out and put it in. So that's not crucial. Probably not really going to use it that much, but I thought it was interesting to try, a new toy for me to play with. And on the back side here, I do have the pattern terminal, which allows you to teach it recipes here, put a pattern in place here, and then get a pattern out, and then store that pattern in your crafting pattern stuff that I'm not familiar with, but I need to learn soon, so that you can then in the future auto craft with it. So I made one of those just because I had the stuff, but I'm not going to get into that quite yet. I still have a lot to learn here about this system. But yeah, so I've got 4 monitors, so that's 4 of 8 channels. I'm sort of liking that for now. Here I've got 2 import buses for 2 of 8 channels, 8 drives for 8 of 8 channels. This energy acceptor is not taking up any channels, but it's also not in the way. It's not in the way of these 32 channels, and so I've still got 32 channels coming off of each of these sides that if I need to run a bunch of stuff, I might drain this lake and put a huge crafting thing back there for all the crafting storage for all the things I'm going to teach it to auto craft. I might do all sorts of stuff, or I might tear it all down and move it somewhere else. But the bottom line is it is good to go. So what I'm going to do next is probably run a line to my, I'm not 100% sure if I want to keep some storage drawers because I'm just used to them, or if I want to do everything from here. So I'm probably just going to leave the drawers mostly alone for now, and concentrate on getting all of this other crapola that I have in various places that aren't standard crafting components, or that aren't standard mining stuff. Get all that squared in there first, and then move this other stuff in there as I get used to the system, and as I think another thing that will make it easier is I need to make some stuff to make the wireless one. So, oops. Pardon me, I have to cough. Okay, so I want to make a wireless terminal, which is a receiver that you just pop into the system. That I can actually do right now. So I'm going to do that for later, and I can charge it now, so that's good. Then I think to make that work you need, what is it, a security terminal, I believe? Oh, you need a biometric card. That's easy to make. So it will tell it that I am Grimweird, and it gives me the ability to access things wirelessly. And then I need, what's the other thing I need? It's called a security terminal. It would probably, ME security terminal. It'll take me, a bit to build a 16K ME storage component, but the rest of this is okay. That's going to be a moment because I need 3 of these, which means each of these takes 3 of the ones. That's not going to be too bad. So I'll make that, and we'll try and get this all wireless so that I can keep one of these wireless terminals. And eventually I think you can also make a wireless crafting terminal. Is that true? I also need to look into these portable cells. So I think you can take stuff around with you, sort of like a backpack. I think there is a wireless crafting. Let's see if I say crafting. Nope. Let's say if I say wireless. That's the other thing I might need is I might need some wireless boosters. Ender dust, I think I can make that just fine. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that'll probably be like next episode or something. Is making this wireless so that I can wander around my base and have a tablet on me for pulling things in and out of my inventory on the go while I'm standing over here, for instance, at a machine. Although with block reach, I just put stuff into my ME system from here, and block reach is a little silly. Okay, so we have a system, and we have a ton of storage. I got enough storage for, I think, everything, so that is good. So what I'm going to do now is I think I will pause here. I've probably been babbling for 10 or 15 minutes already, but I wanted to show you sort of, this is our entry-level basic thing here. Now we could have done something much simpler and easier and faster with, like, just some ME chests to get into this thing. And if I were to start this playthrough over, I probably would make some ME chests and start moving on this much sooner, now that I'm more familiar with it. But it was also nice waiting until I could make like a big old system that will handle everything, complete with import buses and some wireless power. So it's also nice to have just boom, be settled, because what I've got here will probably take us, with the addition of wireless and with the addition of some auto crafting that I build off of the rest of these channels, that should take us pretty far into the game. So yeah, pretty happy with this. I'm going to pause and I'm going to try and put a bunch of stuff in there, and I'm going to go set up my digital miner so I can watch it go in there, and I will return and we will finish up this episode with more of how this is working and how I like it and what things I might want to do to it in the future. Be right back. And I am back. So what I have done is I have moved everything from all my storages upstairs. Upstairs I had tons of food, plants, monster drops, magic stuff like Thaumcraft stuff, Botania stuff, Astral Sorcery stuff, Ice and Fire stuff, just tons of junk up there, saplings, crops, plants, uneaten food, a gazillion different types. I moved all of that in. The only thing I haven't moved in is the several double chests worth of armor that I have in various states of repair, because I think each different set of repair, if you put them in 100%, I think they will stack up and use one type. But if you have like one at 100%, one at 98%, and one at 40%, and one at 20%, and one broken, I think those take up multiple spots in your stuff. So I didn't want to deal with that, and I don't need them for anything. It's not like I'm going to craft with them. I took a good chunk of things out of my storage drawers, but not everything. I took at least samples of a lot of things, things that are more building supplies and crafting components. I put in there, but I left most of the ores. One thing I'm doing right now is I went and moved and turned on my digital miner, and I threw iron ore and redstone up on the monitor, and I have seen them go up every once in a while. They'll be like quiet, 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 and then they'll boop, go up a few ticks. So during the rest of this, we'll see if 90 and 481 go up. Not only did I set up the digital miner, things are popping in here and popping out so fast that I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't 100% sure it was even working. And I also, while I set that up, I vein mined like a whole bunch of rocks and stuff. And by the time I teleported here, came up the ladder and looked, it was all gone. And this was all gone. So the 4 acceleration cards here are making sure that there's going to be probably no backup ever on these bad boys. Oh, and here's the other thing I wanted to show you. So basically I have filled up the first 10. So you see I'm at 63 of 63 types. Only used, a little over half of the bytes, which means that some of these types probably don't have a lot of, they're not full stacks. They're like onesies, twosies. I threw a lot of stuff in here that's not efficient, and I know it's not efficient. Like I threw in music discs that don't stack. I threw in dragon skulls that don't stack. I threw in astral sorcery rock crystals that don't stack. I threw in a bunch of crap like that just because I really wanted to see where my system was at. And we are basically at 36 of 63, so a little over halfway through our 11th 4K storage cell. So we have tons of room because literally everything is in there. If I were to dump the entire rest of my drawers in there, I'd probably maybe make it through the fifth or sixth one of these, maybe. Probably not even that far. So we're doing real good. Got plenty of room here to expand, and I've got a whole other empty bank here that I can move into. So things are looking good. I think I already showed you all of this stuff. So one thing I wanted to check, and I forgot before I turned on the digital miner, I think I checked it before I reconfigured it. So I know my digital miner is taking about, I think it's like 460 RF per tick. And so this is taken, I think, this system is taking about 80 some RF per tick. So that's a good thing for me to just keep in mind. So now I'm down to a net of only, 300 and some odd RF per tick going into my big storage, which is now at 1 million RF. No, that's 1 billion. 1,120,000,000 RF. But my net input is has dropped a little because I'm putting about 80 some per tick into this. But the good news is I'm still producing more than I'm using. And even if I go turn on a machine for a bit, I'm not even going to hardly dip into the storage that I've got in this induction matrix. So things are going good. We have computerized inventory. If we take a look at what this looks like, we've now got stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. So there's just all this garbage in here, which a lot of it I don't even really need, but I just wanted to throw everything in there. And so now I can find things the way I normally would. So, just type stuff in there and boom, I got it. And I can craft things with this terminal. That was at, I think, 90 when we went upstairs. Now it's at 131. This was at, 4 something. Now it's at 705. So, things are going in. This sort of allows me to keep an eye on my digital miner. So I'm going to use the monitors for that also. So yeah, I think we're golden. I'm going to leave some of this stuff here for now. I am leaving some point of use storage here and there. So for instance, these metal press molds only go in this machine, so I'm leaving them there. Obviously I've got some point of use stuff. My inscriber press is currently down in this hole. So these are the inscriber press ones that only get used there. But on the whole, everything is in there. And we've only used a quarter of our storage, roughly. So we are golden. That's probably going to balloon up over the next several episodes, because now that I don't feel constrained by storage, I will probably be making lots more intermediaries and lots more extras of things, and to be a lot less careful about what I pick up. I'm just going to start picking up everything in the world that I think might be useful. So things are going well. And the power supply is good so far. So now I got to think about what we're doing next. I'm not sure. This is as far as I've made it in this mod pack. I did do a trial run of this for a couple weeks before, saying, hey, I should record this for posterity, because I'll want to be able to remember all of this the next time I play through something. But yeah, this is about as far as I know what I'm doing. And I say that loosely. So, things we want to do. We want to go wireless. I want to get a pad for my... I'm still trying to figure out if there's a wireless crafting pad. I think there should be, but I'm not seeing one, I don't think. So So there's the wireless terminal without energy and with energy. And I'm not seeing anything, a wireless crafting pad anywhere. But I will have to make some wireless stuff so that I can at least access my inventory while I'm wandering around my base. Like, it would be really nice to be able to pull stuff up when I'm over at my cattle ranch or when I'm upstairs, be able to access it remotely. And so I'll need the pad and the charger, maybe, if I can't charge it with my charge pad, which I think I can. I'll need the security terminal and a biometric card. I'll need some range boosters to make sure that I can do it from upstairs and hopefully all the way out to my cattle ranch. Hopefully a lot farther than that. I have no idea what the range is on those. So I got that to do over the next episode or two. And then, what next? Let's pull out the quest book and see what we want to try and do next. I did take a look at, I was looking at the angel ring, and it looked like we could make damn near everything, except I didn't know what to do about dragon breath. I vaguely remembered that you could like catch it in a bottle from the last time I looked to see if that was doable. And it turns out that yes, the Ender Dragon shoots purple fire at you or something, and it leaves behind a cloud of particle effects. And I think you right click it with a glass bottle to catch it. I have never been to the Ender ever, or to the end, so I'm not exactly sure. I think I've found the back in the vanilla days there was only I think one access point per world, and sometimes it was broken. The last time I even tried to go to the end, and so I played through and finally found the end thing and it was broken, and I said yeah whatever, and never went and never did again. But now I believe there are multiples. I think there's something like I read that there could be like 125 per or 112 or something like that, 124 somewhere in there per overworld. I'm not exactly sure how to find them. I'm not exactly sure what to do with them when I find them, but I could start thinking about that kind of stuff. I think my armor and my laser gun's good enough to fight the dragon. If I do anything screwy and miss out on anything, I think you can respawn it. So I can start thinking about that kind of stuff. When I was Googling things to do, there's some sort of Gaia boss that you're supposed to fight. I don't know if that's part of Britannia or Twilight Forest. I don't know anything about Twilight Forest, so I can, other than that you make a little flower pond puddle to jump through. Honestly, from stuff that I do know about, I'd really like to get into flux networks. But to get into this kind of stuff, to use this for cross-dimensional power and etc., your very first flux core needs to come from taking a sag mill to a dimensional transceiver. So you need to be able to build a dimensional transceiver, which takes all of this stuff. I have played Ender IO 3 or 4 years ago and really enjoyed it, and so I would like to break into that. So that's something we could think about. I also have done some of the RF tool stuff where you build dimensional gates and sort of fine-tune the dimensions that you want to travel to, and that was sort of fun. Don't know how necessary it is in this mod pack, but back when I tried it, it was pretty cool. Where's my book? Here it is. So we could do some more RF tool stuff. Do some of this dimlets and dimension builders and that kind of garbage. We could head back into, what do I have here? Claim that. This is from, I think, Dragon Loot or something. Actually, one of those may have come from the nether, one of the chests in the nether. A dislocator from Draconic Evolution. I don't know what that is, but it's probably a good thing to get anything from Draconic Evolution. Let's see. This is boring, so all I'm going to do for the next few minutes is just try and figure out what I'm going to do next. So, you know, if you're not interested, you can tune in next time and find out what I decided. But looking at this, I haven't done anything with Ex Nihilo. I think that was more of a skyblock kind of thing where you could just get stuff and put it through sieves and get small trace amounts from big stuff. But I hear that it can have some good things in it. I think I already have some sort of auto sieving thing that I got out of a loot chest. So that might be worth looking into. My power is okay now, but it's quickly going to go bad as I start going into nuclear craft, because I noticed that the alloy furnace is just beautiful, but it's an energy hog. Same with same thing with the manufactory. It's fast and powerful and does cool things, but boy does it suck power, as you would expect in something that wants you to make a bunch of power. So that's the other thing I'll have to figure out. I have in the past, like 3 or 4 years ago, I made an extreme reactor, and that was fun. I made some huge monster, like 64 by 64 beast, and got huge amounts of power and used those flux network plugs to power a base. So I'm vaguely familiar with that, but I already looked at it a bit, and Extreme Reactors has changed since I've done it. There's a bunch of other stuff now in it, so I'll have to refigure it all out. Ender.io, I'd like to get into that. I actually really enjoy that mod pack. Advanced rocketry, that could be interesting. One of the things I want to look at is iridium production. I forget what I wanted iridium for, but I think I saw a thing where you could use platinum ore and cinnabar from cinnabar pieces made out of cinnabar ore, and you could put that in, I think it was the induction furnace or something like that, and actually get iridium out, which seemed the only other way to get iridium was to go to a different planet. So I might look at that if I can figure out what iridium is even used for. I don't know if you can get titanium anywhere on planet though. Yeah, I think iridium ore is used in industrial craft, so I might be able to do something there. There's all sorts of stuff. So industrial craft has some nuclear power, and we do have a tiny pile of plutonium sitting out in a dragon chest somewhere that we haven't picked up for fear of radiation poisoning. So I could look into that as a possible power source. And some of this other stuff, some of these other mods go into some serious power. So it would not hurt to go from this sort of early stage power generation with windmills and thermoelectric to something a little bit more nuclear. But let's see, industrial craft. I don't know what a scanner and replicator does. Here's some iridium for this. pattern storage. So I think this is some sort of automated crafting stuff. I could take a look at that. I think most people tend to go with the Applied Energistics, but I could at least look at that stuff because I want to eventually do the entire, unlock everything in this mod pack just to say I did once. It does have a nuclear reactor. Let's take a look at that recipe. That might be sort of fun. So add industrial nuclear. So reactor chambers, dense lead plates, that's doable. Basic machine casings is doable. I must be missing something. It's probably a multi block structure that uses like one of these and a bunch of those and some coolant and etc. So I'll probably have to read up on it. For nuclear craft, there's that whole thing about making salts and mixing salts and extracting and etc. and going through salts consecutively, doing chemical reactions to get the kinds of fuels you need for the reactors. That looks really complicated, but also sort of interesting. So I could head that direction. I'm probably going to want to end up making both a nuclear craft plant and an extreme reactors plant, and then eventually a draconic evolution plant, all three of them. So I might as well start cracking away on nuclear craft. The only question is, should I do some of these other ones first? Some of these other advanced power options, like industrial craft or immersive engineering, I don't think has anything too crazy. You can make blocks of uranium, but I don't remember it having anything too hugely powerful in it. Extra utilities has all sorts of funky generators. I do have tons of food sitting around that I could put in a culinary generator. Don't know if I want this enchanter, but I do think, that reminds me, I do think I want the thermal expansion enchanter. I think it has an enchanter in it. Is it thermal expansion or is it industrial foregoing or black hole storage? Sounds fun. Wither builder, that sounds fun. Let's see, that does remind me, I'm all about optimizing my armor and weapons, so Thorns 3. I haven't had an easy time of pulling this out of the enchantment table, so I sort of got bored and gave up. But the Ender IO enchanter, that looks fun. Dimensional shards. Ay caramba. So maybe we will play with dimensions from RF tools. So dimensional shards come from planets. So we might have to, or maybe void miners. I'm not familiar with void miners. Environmental tech. We, I think, have opened environmental tech, but I don't really know anything about it. But I have heard people talk about void miners, and they seem super powerful, like a step up from our digital miner. And I think these, again, make some sort of multi-block structure with laser lenses that shoot down into through the bedrock into the void or something crazy like that. Yeah, maybe I'll look into that one. Alright, I have rambled on enough. Hopefully you've all gone away and not listened to me ramble. But I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to think about things, and I am going to, yeah, I'm getting tons of stuff coming in, and let's make sure nothing's backing up. Nope, everything's still cruising right through. Alright, so more power, Ender IO for enchantments and mob farming. Possibly Void Miner, possibly Dimensional and or Rockets. Still tons to do, so I'm going to sort of dig through that and make a decision, and we can start on some new adventure next episode. Bye for now.